The lab was quiet at 2 a.m., just the way I liked it. I was adjusting the microscope settings when my phone buzzed for the 5th time. Michael again. I glanced at his message. Either come home now or don't come home at all. I stared at the screen, then at the cell cultures I'd been monitoring for 16 hours straight. We were close to a breakthrough. I could feel it. Something in the way the cancer cells were responding to our new compound. Dr. Harrison. My research assistant Amy's voice broke through my thoughts. The latest results are in. You need to see this. My name is Elizabeth Harrison, and at 34, I was about to make a choice that would change everything. I just didn't know it yet. Show me, I said, ignoring my phone as it buzzed again. Amy pulled up the data on our computer. The graphs told a story that made my heart race. Our modified protein was targeting the cancer cells with unprecedented precision, leaving healthy cells untouched. If these results held up. The lab door slammed open. Michael stood there in his expensive suit, face flushed with anger. Really, Liz, again? It's our anniversary. I straightened up from the microscope, suddenly remembering the dinner reservation he'd mentioned this morning. Michael, I'm sorry, but you need to see this. We've had a breakthrough. I don't care about your breakthrough. He ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair. I care about having a wife who actually comes home, who shows up to dinner with my colleagues, who acts like a normal person instead of this. He gestured at my loud coat, my messy ponytail, the papers scattered across my desk. This is who I am, I said quietly. You knew that when you married me, my research. Your research is more important than everything else, isn't it? His voice was bitter. More important than me, than having a family, than living a normal life. Do you know what it's like, being married to someone who cares more about cells in a petri dish than their own husband? Amy shifted uncomfortably behind me. Dr. Harrison, I can finish up here if you need to. No, Michael cut in. Don't bother. I'm done. He pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket and tossed it onto my desk. Divorce papers. Jessica already helped me file them. Jessica. His secretary. The one who'd been bringing him coffee and batting her eyelashes for the past year. How long? I asked, though I already knew the answer. He had the grace to look slightly ashamed. 6 months. She's pregnant. The words hit like a physical blow. We talked about having children, but I wanted to wait until my research was further along. Michael had seemed to understand, or at least I thought he had. Jessica wants a real family, he continued. She's ready to be a real wife, not just a researcher who happens to be married. I picked up the envelope, my hands steady despite the trembling in my chest. Get out. Liz. Get out? After he left, Amy touched my shoulder gently. Dr. Harrison. I shrugged off her hand and turned back to the microscope. The results, Amy. Show me the rest of the results. That night set the pattern for the next year. I threw myself into the research, spending every waking hour in the lab. Our preliminary results attracted attention from major pharmaceutical companies, but I turned down their offers. This was my work, my vision. I wasn't going to let corporate interests water it down. The divorce was finalized quickly. Michael married Jessica 3 months later, posting happy family photos on social media. Him, her, their new baby. I didn't look at them. I had more important things to focus on. Our breakthrough came on a Tuesday morning, exactly 1 year after Michael had walked out. The modified protein wasn't just targeting cancer cells. It was destroying them completely, with minimal side effects. The implications were staggering. I called Dr. Chen, my mentor and head of the research department. Elizabeth, he said after reviewing our data, this is extraordinary. Have you considered what this could mean? Of course, I replied, still staring at the results. If we can scale this up, develop it into a viable treatment, it could save millions of lives. He leaned back in his chair. But you'll need funding. Serious funding. I nodded. I know, but I want to maintain control. No corporate buyouts, no compromising the research for quick profits. He smiled. I may know some people. Investors who understand the value of pure research. Let me make some calls. The next few months were a whirlwind. We secured private funding from a group of investors who believed in our vision. I assembled a larger team, moved to a bigger lab, started the long process of clinical trials. The preliminary results were beyond our wildest expectations. Patients who had exhausted all other options were showing remarkable improvement. Word spread through the medical community. And suddenly everyone wanted to know about the brilliant Dr. Harrison and her revolutionary cancer treatment. I was reviewing the latest trial data when my phone buzzed with a text from Amy. "Have you seen this?" She'd attach a link to a local business magazine. The headline made me pause. "Tech executive files for bankruptcy after failed venture." There was Michael's face, looking considerably less polished than I remembered. The article detailed the collapse of his software company, mentioning his recent separation from his wife, Jessica, and the impending sale of their house. I closed the article without reading further. His problems weren't my concern anymore. I had more important things to focus on, like the phone call I'd just received from the FDA about fast-tracking our approval process. That evening, as I left the lab, I noticed a familiar figure waiting by my car. Michael looked different, his expensive suit replaced by wrinkled khakis and a polo shirt, his confident stance now uncertain. "Liz," he said, taking a step forward. "I heard about your research. It's amazing. You're doing exactly what you always said you would." I unlocked my car door, not looking at him. "What do you want, Michael?" He ran a hand through his now graying hair. "I made a mistake. Leaving you, choosing Jessica. It was all a mistake. She left me, did you hear? Said I was too focused on work, too obsessed with trying to prove myself. Ironic, right?" I stared at Michael, standing there in the parking lot looking like a shadow of his former self. For a moment, I felt nothing but a strange sense of detachment, as if I were observing a specimen through my microscope. "Ironic isn't the word I'd use," I said finally. "What exactly are you hoping to accomplish here, Michael?" He stepped closer, his cologne, still the same brand, mingling with the smell of stale coffee. "I've been following your work, Liz. The trials, the results. You're going to change the world. Just like you always said you would." He laughed nervously. "And here I am, bankrupt and divorced. Again. Following my work?" I raised an eyebrow. "You mean following the stock price of my company? The headlines about potential billions in revenue. Is that what brought you here?" His face flushed. "That's not fair. I always believed in you." "No," I cut him off. "You believed in what I could do for you. There's a difference." Just then, my phone buzzed with an urgent message from Dr. Chen. "Emergency meeting. FDA panel. Now." "I have to go," I said, opening my car door. "Liz, please." Michael grabbed my arm. "I know I messed up, but we had something special. Maybe we could." "Dr. Harrison." Amy's voice rang across the parking lot as she ran toward us. "The results from the latest trial just came in. It's even better than we projected. The regression rates are off the charts." I gently removed Michael's hand from my arm. "Goodbye, Michael. Good luck with whatever this was supposed to be." The FDA panel meeting lasted 3 hours. Our data was overwhelming. Tumor regression rates that seemed almost impossible, minimal side effects, results that held steady across diverse patient groups. When the head of the panel announced their decision to fast-track our approval process, the room erupted in applause. "This is historic," Dr. Chen said afterward, his eyes bright with emotion. "Do you realize what you've accomplished?" I did. But I was already thinking about the next phase, scaling up production, ensuring accessibility, making sure this treatment reached the people who needed it most. The next morning, every major news outlet carried the story. "Revolutionary cancer treatment receives FDA fast-track approval." My phone exploded with messages. Colleagues, investors, reporters all wanting to know more about the woman behind the breakthrough. Among them was a text from Jessica, Michael's ex. "I should have known he was wrong about you. Congratulations." I deleted it without responding. The past felt increasingly irrelevant as we moved forward with our work. 6 months later, I stood on stage at a major medical conference, presenting our first real-world results. The audience was packed with the same people who had once dismissed my ideas as too ambitious, too unconventional. The treatment has shown a 94% success rate in patients who failed traditional therapies. I explained, clicking through slides of before and after scans. "We're seeing complete remission in cases that were previously considered terminal." The questions afterward were intense, probing, but I handled them with ease. This was my element now, not dinner parties with Michael's colleagues or playing the role of corporate wife, but here, discussing the science that was saving lives. As I left the stage, a reporter caught up with me. Dr. Harrison, Forbes estimates your company's value at over $4 billion. How does it feel to be one of the youngest self-made billionaires in biotech? I thought about Michael, about his obsession with status and wealth. The money is irrelevant, I replied. What matters is that we're helping people who had lost hope. That's worth more than any billion-dollar valuation. Later that evening, I visited one of our trial sites. Sarah Chin, a 12-year-old patient who had exhausted all other options, was celebrating 6 months of complete remission. Dr. Harrison. She called out when she saw me. Look, my hair is growing back. I watched her show off her new pixie cut, her parents crying quietly in the corner, and felt a profound sense of rightness. This was why I'd spent those long nights in the lab. Why I'd chosen science over dinner parties, research over what Michael had called a normal life. The next week, our company went public. The stock price soared, making headlines and creating a frenzy on Wall Street. But I was in the lab, working with our team on improvements to the delivery system. That's where Amy found me late one evening. Dr. Harrison, you need to see this. She handed me a letter. Thick, expensive paper with a law firm's letterhead. Michael was suing for a portion of the company's value, claiming he had supported the early research during our marriage. I read the letter twice, then started laughing. Amy looked concerned until I handed her another document, the ironclad prenup Michael had insisted on signing, convinced he would be the successful one in our marriage. Sometimes, I told her, people are too clever for their own good. The lawsuit was dismissed within weeks. Michael's final attempt to profit from my success had failed spectacularly, making headlines that contrasted sharply with the ones celebrating our treatment's expanding success rates. 1 year after our FDA approval, I stood in our new research facility, a state-of-the-art campus dedicated to pushing the boundaries of cancer treatment even further. The wall of our main lobby displayed photos of patients who had been given a second chance at life. Dr. Chen joined me, looking at the photos. You know, he said quietly, some people spend their whole lives trying to prove others wrong. But you just focus on proving yourself right. I thought about Michael, about his narrow vision of what a wife, a woman, a life should be. I thought about all the nights I'd spent in a lab, not to spite him, but because I believed in something bigger than dinner parties and social status. The best revenge, I replied, isn't about getting even. It's about getting it right. That evening, as I worked late in my office, I received one final email from Michael. I'm sorry, it read. I was wrong about everything. I didn't respond. Instead, I turned back to the research proposal on my screen, a new project that could potentially extend our treatment's effectiveness even further. Success, I had learned, wasn't about proving critics wrong. It was about staying true to your vision, even when others couldn't see it. It was about changing lives, not collecting accolades. And sometimes the most powerful response to those who doubted you isn't words at all. It's the quiet revolution of proving that they never understood your potential in the first place.